Welcome to AikiTalks. Real stories, real practice, real Aiki. Today I would like to discuss an important element of training that is often overlooked with Dan grades and isn't thought of or promoted with Q grades. Exposure. Now I understand the concept of martial arts styles. How does one keep their lineage intact if you are exposed to too many schools of thought? In your training, this may be a benefit to master one style, for grading syllabus purposes or preserving a great instructor's interpretations. I had seen a video on Facebook where an Aikidoka stated that there are no Aikido styles and that all schools of thought on the matter are just interpretation of what we know a technique to be. For example, we understand the shape of a Shiinagi, and all ways of getting to that shape are Aikido. Now, I firmly believe that. This is why I can perform a Shiinagi, and it is recognised as such, but will look different as to say someone of smaller stature. The end result and position of the arm will be the same, but there is something that is unique to the circumstances of that moment. I believe this was the point Sensei was getting at when he stated in an interview that technique differ depending on particular circumstances. Anyway, back to the point I am trying to make. Exposure to different schools of thought in Aikido is a good thing. Soke Jones always encourages us to take what we like from all training experiences and apply it to our own Aikido. Now this, in my opinion, is what makes Shingitai Aikido unique and will allow our Aikido to persevere. We are adaptable. We develop our understanding of Aikido. We are constantly filling our well of knowledge with what we like. Now, I had the pleasure of training with an Aikido club in Chippenham this past week. Sensei Richard Hughes is a gentleman I met on a friendship course in Taunton a few months back, and we crossed paths again at the Shirakawa Sensei seminar. As I am on holiday, I thought that why not visit a friend's dojo and have a little train. The session was well attended, with a good range of Q grades, and it showed me the interpretations of Sensei Richard, working on movement coming from the hips and not using upper body to perform a technique. It was nice to see the big flowing hand movements that I am fond of in my own Aikido being trained. The Chippenham dojo were kind enough to ask me to demonstrate and instruct my own Aikido for a portion of the lesson. I drew upon the lessons taught in the Easter school, looking at Nikyo from second form. We were looking at the hand placement of on top of the arm, under the arm, and from behind the elbow. Now an interesting point came up about where my hand's position was when I was taking the Nikyo. Now I placed the hand firmly into the shoulder, and with the hand taking the Nikyo from me, I place my thumb behind their thumb, ensuring that there is a twist, and you can actually perform the technique there and then with just the shoulder. However, that combined with the other hand, you create an upward twist on the hand and a downward twist on the arm. This applies greater pressure on the joint, making Yuki submission almost inevitable. We also played around with using the shoulder to apply pressure to the wrist to create the technique. So from this I understood that the hand placement in the shoulder is very important. I then demonstrated my interpretation of technique. For those of you who know me and have seen my Aikido before, I enjoy large flowing movements. To exemplify this, I demonstrated a kotegishi from Yushiro Ryotodori. With movement, we often perform the attack starting from in front, so with my nice big step back, making Yuki work for the second hand grab, this gives us a nice flow. At Yamatokawa Aikido Club, this being the club I train at regularly, we perform an additional extended turn at the end of our Rimi Tenkan. So this is added in when taking the kotegishi, and this creates a nice big flowing movement. I can proudly say my Aikido is described as very dynamic by one of the Chippenham Aikidoka. To bring in more Shingitai principles from Soke, we trained Irimanagi, keeping the hands high, controlling the head, and stepping deep behind Yuki. This was well received, and the Chippenham Aikidoka gave this new interpretation to them a go with enthusiasm. I ended the session with a kokunagi that Shihan Smout taught over the Easter school, and I would like to thank all members of Chippenham Aikido for training with me, and a special thanks to Sensei Richard for having me there, and the blue belt who yuki'd for me with great enthusiasm. I believe there were a number of times where a vocalization of his enjoyment to Nikyo being applied caused a few chuckles, so thank you all. If you are enjoying this content, I would appreciate if you liked, subscribed and share these videos with your Aikido communities. So, back to my point again. Exposure. I witnessed another interpretation, and so did they. Now, even if we just take a small part of these lessons and apply to our own technique, and our technique improves, then that is a positive. We have grown in our understanding. This is why I believe it is important that Q grades remember to come on courses, both in the society, because this is a great way to get seen by senior instructors, because come your Dan grading, you will be known, and your journey would have been seen, but also because you will see new interpretations within your school of thought. But also to go to seminars and courses outside your society, make friends, experience Aikido from all interpretations, and learn something new. At this point, I would like to reiterate a saying Soke Jones mentions often. Do what is being taught the way it is being taught in the moment. This is basic and good etiquette. But also take away the lessons and concepts you like and that work for you. Now, from a downgrade perspective, training within your society or club alone can make us blinkered into the understanding that our technique works all the time without pressure testing it. With unfamiliar Yuki, a technique needs to be adapted by Nagi to ensure the results we want. It is also my belief that downgrades should be visible on courses to help guide everyone they train with, but also to allow guidance from other Aikidoka, like senior grades, but also Q grades. Now, Q grades will often say, oh, we do it like this in our club. And that's a good way of exposing yourself to the different thoughts. Q grades often remember what their instructors taught them and may not have as many variations in the bag as downgrades. Now, this isn't a criticism of focused interpretations and a school of thought, but a way for everyone to see that what is happening within the Aikido communities. This is how we develop our understanding. Maybe hours, days, or even weeks later, you will remember something that you saw, witnessed, or spoke about. And suddenly it may appear in your technique. And if it works for you, brilliant. If it doesn't, you've learned from the experience and you move on. I hope this reflection helps you in your study, or motivates you to visit other society clubs or other society seminars. All interpretations will provide you with something you can use in your own development. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do like, subscribe and share. Please do check the Shingitai Aikido Facebook page to see when our next course is being held, and if you can join us, please do. Thank you for joining me for AikiTalks. Until next time, stay centered, keep training, and take care.